Okay, chapter 8 of my book is titled Be Disruptive, one of my favorite chapters in my book. Disruptions are a way of life today, and many businesses have had to close their doors because of them. Let's face it, Blockbuster didn't stand a chance when Netflix disrupted their little world. It's actually a big world, but it became a very little world very fast when Netflix disrupted their world. You know, in the 1960s, the average Fortune 500 company lasted about 75 years. Today, they're lucky to last 15 years. That should tell you something about the necessity to disrupt. There's been so many companies that got their way disrupted, and they had to go either down the ladder or out of business. So Wikipedia describes a disruption as, in business, a disruptive innovation is an innovation that creates a new market and value network and eventually disrupts an existing market and value network, displacing established market-leading firms, products, and alliances. Again, this is my favorite chapter. And I hope you read my book so you can find out more about this disruption, because I give characteristics of disruptees and characteristics of disruptors. And I talk about what I have done to disrupt my little world, like 8 to 8, same great rate. When we came out with that, we disrupted our little world because in the heating and air conditioning world, we got extremely comfortable working from 8 to 5 or some 9 to 5. And that was it. If you called at 5:01, you either got an answering machine back then, an answering service today, or you didn't get anything. So we kind of like closed our doors. In other words, you don't need heating and air conditioning after 5. And you shouldn't need it before 8 or 9 in the morning either. We changed that. We ran 8 to 8, same great rate, took an enormous amount of market share for our territory, and skipped 1.5 million in the lineup. In other words, we went from this to this with 8 to 8 over a period of time, a very short time, and nobody competed with us for years because we disrupted their little world and they didn't know what to do. And it was really a simple fix, but again, they didn't know what to do, and that's fine. So we took a huge amount of market share. And we ran 24/7, no matter what. And we just did a lot of cool things for a small company. We thought about the being so reactive. For many years, I had to pick up our phone, make sure we had a dial tone because we were reactive during slow times. And for those of you that are out of Ohio and in some really hot climate, a slow time is when you go from 65 degrees to 30 degrees the next day, and then the next day you go to 42 degrees, and then the next day you go to 28 degrees, and then the next day you go to 68 degrees, it creates a slow time in certain times of the month. My good friend Ken Goodrich actually asked me the other day, how in the world do you do that? And I go, I don't know any different. I've been in business 34 years, and I'm used to Ohio weather. So you just kind of get used to what you do. But there's different ways of being inactive, reactive, preactive, and proactive. Okay? My book talks about that. That's why you need to read it. However, so I'm titling this today, Disruptive Visionaries, Reshaping the Business Landscape. Think about that. Hey, this is Greg McAfee, and welcome to the Greg McAfee Show. Now let's get started. And welcome back to the Greg McAfee Show, where we discuss steps to successful entrepreneurship, how to take your business to new heights, and ultimately follow your dreams. Disruptive Visionaries. What's this look like? Well, there's basically a cost to complacency. And if you're not very disruptive and you like to do the same old thing, status quo, follow the leader, all those types of things, Now, there's a cost to that. There's dangers in accepting the status quo. See, personally, I don't want to copy off anybody in my own territory. Now, I will travel around the United States and I will visit some very successful companies and I will take some ideas from them and I will try to bring it back here to McAfee and I will try to make it better than what they did. That's my philosophy. I like something they're doing, but I will bring it back and we will discuss it and we will try to even make it better than what they were doing there, but I would never copy off anyone in my territory. There are many dangers to that. First of all, and I know there's some competitors listening to me, but when you do that, who are they going to think of anyway? They're only going to think of the person who started it and drives it home all the time. So when you come out with something similar, they're not thinking of you. They're thinking of the company who actually started it and trademarked it and copyrighted it and brands it and markets it and advertises it, okay? So it's kind of silly to just copy off someone in your own territory, but people do it every day, and we're going to talk about a little bit why they do it. But there's dangers in that. And there's missed opportunities when you do that because you're not being yourself. You're not being your own company. And your team seeing this, it's very obvious, the team seeing this, if you're Joe Heating and you're copying off McAfee, your team's saying, why are we acting like McAfee all the time? I told a story one time about one of our employees, their dad was at a restaurant and he was sitting there enjoying coffee and breakfast, and he overheard this group behind him talking about McAfee, and it ended up being another company having a breakfast meeting. And they said they were talking about how good McAfee's advertising was and how good McAfee's branding was. And this is what we want to be like. And this is what we want to do. And he said, I wish I would have had the capability of recording it so I could hear it. Because he said it was just very sad because these guys were just staring at the owner thinking, why can't we just be ourselves? Why can't we just be who we are instead of worrying about McAfee? Maybe I should go work at McAfee because it sounds like McAfee's doing the right thing. Okay, so why are people so attracted to following others? Why are people heading in the wrong direction? Because they follow others even if those people are heading in the wrong direction. Why do they do that? We have a tendency to conform. A lot of people do. Not all. Most entrepreneurs do not conform well. That's why we couldn't work for someone well. We have a tendency, though, people have a tendency to conform and follow the majority, even if they're headed in the wrong direction. And they're influenced by several factors. Now, here's some factors they're influenced by. Number one, and this is society in general, and it definitely funnels down into the business world, but social proof. That's when humans have a fundamental desire to fit in and be accepted by others. That's when individuals are uncertain. And they often look to the behavior of the majority as the correct course of action. Now, personally, I can't get my head around that, but it happens every single day. And they just assume that the group's collective knowledge surpasses their own, so they just follow them, follow the leader. And they're not even leading, but they'll follow them anyway. And number two, a fear of social rejection. The fear of being rejected by a group can compel individuals to conform. Let me give you a good example. I was on a board, and the way this board worked is there were a group of individuals, probably 20 people on the board. We were making a vote. It was not a company. It was a nonprofit. We were making a vote for a new leader. Let's put it that way. So this individual came in, and he was in the organization. He was up in the ranks. And he came into this unit, and here's what he did immediately. Because of people wanting to conform, this is what he did immediately to speed up the meeting. He said, we're going to take a straw vote. And he said, I want to see how many people we have for this new leader. So they took a straw vote, and it came out something like 15-5. 15 for, 5 against. He immediately said, let's take another straw vote right now. He took another straw vote, and it came out to 17-3. Okay? So 2 people thought the group's collective knowledge surpasses my own. They must know what they're talking about. 15 wants this person. I'll go ahead and vote. Even though I was not for this person, I'll go ahead and vote yes for this person. So it was 17-3. And then they got down to 18-2. I being one of the 2, I held my guns all the way to the end with a no vote. Okay, so many years later, it kind of showed that maybe more should have thought this through a little bit better instead of following the crowd, because we had a lot of problems in this organization. Okay, so nobody wants to feel rejected, and they just kind of want to follow. Number 3, authority and obedience. People tend to comply with authority figures. So if a doctor says, to me, here's a great example. I have now lost 76 pounds. I'm extremely excited. I feel really good. I'm working out on a regular basis 3 days a week. I'm doing cardio 5 to 6 days a week. But I go to my doctor. I probably had lost 40 to 50 pounds. My doctor says you need to stay on these meds. Now, if you don't know this, I had a quintuple bypass in 2021, and I got put on 6 medications, prescription drugs, to control my blood pressure, to control my cholesterol, and anything else that had to do with my heart. So I've been on these drugs. One of them was a statin drug. And if you read anything about statin, they're just not good for you. So, of course, I always wanted to come off those drugs. I don't like to be on any drugs, but I was overweight. I had high blood pressure. I had high cholesterol, so I had to be on these drugs. As I lost weight, my blood pressure started coming down. My cholesterol started coming down. So I called my cardiologist, and I said, here's the scoop. I've been monitoring this. I had a blood panel done. Here's the facts. And he basically said, okay, you can come off this, and then you can cut this one in half and all. So I did that. And then again, as I lost more weight, everything kept coming down until finally I'm cutting everything in half and eventually just weaning myself off everything. I've been off everything now for the past 3 months. I feel great. My blood pressure is low. It was 116/72 this morning. My pulse is great, and my cholesterol is down to a very healthy level. Okay. But people listen to doctors, and my doctor did not want me to come off that statin drug. He wanted me to stay on that statin drug, even though everything's looking great now. I'm sorry, I did not want to be on that statin drug. Now, for a lot of people, they said, well, my doctor, who is the authority, said I should stay on this drug. Well, doctors are great, and doctors put a lot of time in to be a doctor, more time in school than I can comprehend. However, they don't know my body like I know my body, and I decided I'm off everything, and I weaned myself off everything, and I've been off everything for 3 months, and I've never felt better. I have more energy. Of course I have more energy. I've lost 76 pounds. Someone said the other day, I can tell a big difference in your podcast. You're full of energy. I mean, I had energy before, but 76 pounds can really bog you down, especially when you're holding fluid and you're on 6 drugs. And I love coffee, by the way. All right, number 4, lack of knowledge or confidence. Boy, I'm doing a whole class coming up for my team on how to be more confident. And it's really going to be good. I'm really going into depth. I'm finding out more and more that too many people are lacking confidence in many different areas. And we're really going to drive this home, how to be more confident, what to do to be more confident. And if you're not confident, act confident, right? But when individuals lack confidence in their own knowledge and ability, they're more likely to follow the majority's lead because, again, they're not confident. So they decide, I'll just follow them. I assume that the group knows better, and I'll just follow them. And that's what we'll do. How's that? All right, number 5, last one, status quo bias. There's a natural tendency to prefer the safety and comfort of the current state of affairs over the uncertainty of change, so I'll just follow these guys. Then I won't have to worry about it. I won't have that problem, okay? So understanding these dynamics is crucial for recognizing when conformity might lead us away from ethical, innovative, or optimal decisions. Now, how do you apply this in your business? Because this is for both everyday life and your business. So how do we apply this to your business? Well, you went and visited another company and you fell in love with them and you came back and changed your whole company to match their company because you thought, well, they're smarter. They do more a year than you do. So you've changed your whole company. I've seen this time and time and time again. Your team's not comfortable with it. Your culture's completely changed. It takes years to change a culture, but you did it overnight because you just changed everything, and nobody knows what to do now, and it's just out of whack because you didn't have the confidence, most of the time, you didn't have the confidence to stay with your plan, your way for your company. And that's extremely dangerous. And a lot of companies have gone out of business when they do that, following the wrong company. You were in Ohio, that company was in Las Vegas, and you thought you could do things like they do? Wrong. Very wrong. The climate is completely different. The atmosphere is completely different. The culture is completely different. How you do business in Ohio versus Las Vegas is even different. What made you think you could do exactly like them? And that's what happens. That's what happens all the time. So you got to understand the dynamics and how crucial it is to start changing things and conforming to another way that might not be a good fit for you. And then there's the power of questioning. This is extremely powerful, I must say. We have to get with someone and ask the why behind it and what if behind it. I don't want to say I'm a natural at that. I think I just learned that over a period of time to ask why. Why are you doing it that way? What if you do it this way? What happens if you do it this way? Or what made you start that? You know, I'm just constantly asking that because if someone gives me that answer of, well, I seen another company do it and they were very successful at it, that's the wrong answer, man. That's just totally the wrong answer for me. Now, if they said we did a ton of research and we started applying this and it's been extremely successful for us, that's a great answer. Looking for that kind of answer, that's a good answer. Don't be afraid to challenge the norm. Bring someone into your business who will challenge you. I've been hired before to walk through a business. I said, here's my fee. Let me come in. Don't tell anybody who I am. Let me just spend the day walking through your business and seeing things and hearing things, and then I'll give you my evaluation, okay? I had someone do that for me, and I had someone do that for our sheet metal shop, which has now been in existence for close to 20 years. It's a full-blown sheet metal shop. And I had someone go through it when it was probably 5 years old. Someone went over there and they just walked through it and they listened and they watched. And basically what they came up with was some of the machines were in the wrong place. We were walking too far when we didn't have to walk so far if we had moved machines closer to each other. And it cost me, at the time, it cost me $2,500, but it was worth every dime. We moved some machines, we saved some walking time, and we were much more efficient in what we did. And he also came up with a few more ideas, so it was very, very beneficial. We must cultivate a mindset that challenges the status quo. You must be okay with some healthy conflict. See, that's the problem. We're so afraid of conflict that we'll follow anyone instead of bucking the system and asking why. Now, most entrepreneurs are not afraid to ask why, and they're not afraid of conflict because healthy conflict happens every single day. And if you're an entrepreneur and you can't handle healthy conflict, then you shouldn't be an entrepreneur because you're going to have that. You're going to have that most of the time, especially in the first 10 years of business, because you're touching employees, you're touching customers, you're touching suppliers, you're touching business coaches and board of advisors and mentors and groups. You're touching a lot of people. If you just agree, if you're just a yes person and you just agree with everybody, I don't know how that works because I can't do that. I disagree with a lot of people. And if I disagree in the right way, we make a lot of progress. But I am not afraid to disagree and say no, or why, or why not, or tell me more about that. But you gotta deal with some healthy conflict. You can't just skate along with others. You got to be curious. You got to ask questions. And I'm gonna give you some ideas here of questions which are really good. You got to also embrace failure as a learning opportunity and seeking diverse perspectives. So failure is not the end. If you're a doer, you're going to fail more than most. If you're a high achiever, you're going to fail more than most. If you're considered a success, you've already failed more than most. Okay? So here's 3 great questions to ask when you find yourself going down the status quo tunnel. I call it the status quo tunnel. Here's 3 great questions. Why is this the accepted way? Great question. Great question. Why is this accepted? Why are we allowing this? This challenges the foundation of the status quo by probing the reasons behind current practices. See, I like to do that. If I'm coaching, I want to probe a little bit. And I'm not for everyone. I tell everyone right up front, if you don't have some tough skin and you can't take criticism well, then I'm probably not the coach for you. Now, I'll inspire you and I'll motivate you and I'll make you think different, but I'm also going to probe a little bit and I'm going to push in on some things that you might have been doing forever and you took over a business where the first generation has done it forever or the second generation, now you're the third generation, but I'm going to probe a little bit. I'm going to ask why. And what if we were to do that differently? It's called probing. And it's understanding there's an accepted way of doing things, and we need to understand why it's so accepted. All right, number 2 question. What are the alternatives, or are there any more alternatives to doing it? In other words, is there a different way? And if you answer that too fast with, no, it's our way or the highway, you got a problem. You got a problem. And if your employees are asking questions and it's your way or the highway, you're not going to keep employees long, especially the younger generation. They like asking questions and they like seeing change and they like seeing something to happen in a better way, in a bigger way that influences a lot of people, changes lives. They love that. And if you're not there, you're going to be disappointed because they're going to leave. So what are the alternatives? That's asking this question. By asking this question, rather, it opens the doors to exploring other opportunities and possibilities. And it encourages, oh my goodness, this is so good. It encourages creative thinking and innovation. There are so many small businesses lacking creativity and innovation. The ones that have that are soaring. And they are achieving, and they are succeeding. But you got to have that. Don't get stale. Don't just do the old thing, same old thing all the time, status quo. So why is this accepted? What are the alternatives? And number 3, who benefits from maintaining the status quo, and who might benefit from the change? Boy, that's a deep question, but that's a great question. because this question examines the implications of existing norms from the broader perspective, and it helps identify potential resistances to change and the motivations behind them. So who benefits from this and why? Now, if the owner says, well, I benefit from this because it's much easier and less stress on me. I get that, but that's not necessarily the best way to progress either. Okay? So, embracing change and pushing boundaries ignites a transforming spark within us and pushing us beyond the familiar shores of status quo into the uncharted waters, which I love, of the potential and of the growth. That's where it's at. It's out there. It's in the uncharted waters. You've not been there. You've only been in these waters, and you're comfortable there. That's where status quo happens. It's comfort. I'm used to it. This is what we do. Well, if you want to maintain status quo, then you just stay there. But if you want to get out of that, you want to grow, you want to make things happen, you want to be more successful than you are today, you want to set the standard and maybe work your way up to number one, then you got to think different. And you got to get out there in the uncharted waters where we dare to challenge the limits. And we don't put a limit on ourselves either. That negativity limit of what we can do. Because when we take that limit off, anything's possible. But some of you are wearing that limit hat. And when you take that negativity limit hat off, things will happen. But high performance people push the boundaries. So it's in this journey of basically transformation. And I refer to 76 pounds is part of my transformation. My goal is to lose 100 pounds. If I get down, I'm having a test done Tuesday morning to find out exactly the fat percentage of my body. And if it's down lower than what I think it is, because I know my body better than anyone, I know I have some fat to lose. If it's down too low, then I might consider doing the calculations and the metrics and find out how much fat have I lost and how much fat weight versus how much muscle gain have I had. Because I've been working out since December and I'm really pushing it hard. And according to the measurements, I'm gaining size and gaining muscle and losing a lot of fat. So it could come out to where I've already lost 100 pounds of fat. I just gained muscle. Now, I don't know. I don't know yet. We're not there, but I got to figure it out. But if I'm at a certain number where I can still afford to lose, I'm going to continue to lose because I just want to get into, part of my goal was to lose 100 pounds, look leaner, more cut, etc. That's just my goal. I'm 60 years old. That's what I want. I was just fat too long, and I just put some before and after pictures up on Facebook today, and it's amazing, just amazing. I just don't know how I let myself go that long, but I did. And it's not where I was, it's where I'm at today, and I'm very pleased with where I'm at today. Okay. Wrapping it up here. This is life-changing, folks. Those who step out into the unfamiliar territory or the uncharted waters, they're the ones making the progress. They're the ones that are being copied after. They're the ones that are being followed. So they're making more progress than those who do not. And that's the bottom line. So think about it. Disruptive visionaries. They make things happen. They see things differently. And basically, they reshape the business landscape. They do things that others are not willing to do, nor do they want to do, because they're very happy following other people. They're very happy doing what others do. Well, everybody else closes at 5. I might as well close at 5. Wrong answer. You want to be different? You want to be more successful? Consider having after-hours service at the same great rate. Amazing what will happen. It worked for us. But anyway, before we wrap up, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe below. You can also support this podcast by rating or reviewing on iTunes or your preferred listening platform. Keep listening. I'll keep challenging you. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram or Facebook at The Greg McAfee Show. No spaces, no underscores. Be sure to tune in next week. I've got some really cool, a really cool podcast on basically who do you follow and why, something like that. But I'll give you the title next week. So thanks for listening. As always, carry on. God bless. Make it a great day. We're not promised tomorrow, so make this day the best day of your life. See you later.